I am sitting alone in our apartment tonight, staring at the empty chair across from me. That is where Faustina used to sit. 2 years together, and I truly believed she was the one I would spend my life with. She used to tell me I was her home, her safe place. But there were things I did not see, or maybe things I refused to see. Until that Friday evening when she sat me down and said words that made it impossible to breathe. Before we begin, let me know where you are watching from today. Hit that like button and subscribe if you have ever given your whole heart to someone who made you feel like a burden. This story might stay with you. The first time I saw Faustina, I thought the universe was playing tricks on me. It was at an art gallery opening in downtown Austin, one of those events my coworker had dragged me to because he said I needed to get out more. I was 28 years old, working as a software engineer, spending most of my days behind a screen. Social events were not exactly my strength. But there she was standing in front of a massive abstract painting, her head tilted slightly, like she was trying to decode its secrets. She was 26, confident, magnetic. The kind of woman who walked into a room and somehow made everyone else fade into the background. Her laugh carried across the gallery, and I found myself drawn to her before I even realized my feet were moving. When she caught me looking, she smiled. Not a polite smile, but a real one, the kind that made her eyes crinkle at the corners. We talked for 3 hours that night. She told me she worked as a marketing manager for a fashion brand, that she loved traveling, but never had enough time, that she believed in fate. When she said that last part, she looked right at me, and I felt like I had been chosen for something extraordinary. The first 6 months were everything I never knew I wanted. Faustina was affectionate present, constantly reaching for my hand or leaning her head on my shoulder. She would text me good morning with voice messages, her sleepy voice telling me she could not wait to see me. She said things like, "I have never felt this safe with anyone, and you understand me in ways no one else does." I believed every word. Why would I not? But looking back now, I can see the cracks that were forming even then. Small ones, easy to ignore if you were not paying attention. And I was not paying attention because I was too busy being grateful that someone like her had chosen someone like me. It started with comparisons. Little comments that seemed harmless at first. She would mention her ex-boyfriend, Derek, when we were out for dinner, talking about how he always knew the best restaurants, how he had this effortless way of making everything feel exciting. She never said it directly, but the implication was clear. Derek knew how to live. And maybe I did not. I tried to adjust. I started researching restaurants, planning surprise dates, booking weekend getaways to places she had mentioned wanting to visit. I took time off work, something I rarely did, because I wanted to show her I could be spontaneous too. But nothing ever seemed to be quite enough. There was always something missing, some invisible standard I could not reach no matter how hard I stretched. She complained that I worked too much, so I worked less. She said I was too predictable, so I tried to be more adventurous. She mentioned that I did not dress well enough, so I let her pick out new clothes for me. Each time I changed something, she would seem happy for a week, maybe two. Then a new complaint would surface, and the cycle would start again. I told myself this was normal. Relationships required compromise, right? I told myself I was lucky to have someone who pushed me to be better. But deep down in a place I did not want to examine too closely, I was exhausted. That Friday started like any other. I left work early, stopped by the grocery store, and bought ingredients for her favorite pasta dish. I was planning to surprise her with a home-cooked dinner, maybe open a bottle of wine, spend a quiet evening together. I was actually excited as I walked through the front door, bags in hand, already imagining the look on her face. But she was already sitting on the couch when I came in. No smile, no greeting. She did not stand up to hug me like she usually did. Her posture was rigid. Her arms crossed, her expression completely unreadable. My stomach dropped before she even said a word. "We need to talk," she said. Her voice was flat, distant. "Sit down." I set the grocery bags on the counter, my hands suddenly unsteady. I sat across from her on the edge of the armchair, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. The silence between us felt thick, suffocating. Then she looked at me, and I saw it. Her eyes were cold. Not angry, not sad, just cold, like she was looking at a stranger. Honestly, she said, "You are draining. I need a break. I need to remember what freedom feels like." I opened my mouth, but no words came out. It felt like she had reached into my chest and squeezed. For a moment, I could not process what she had said. Draining. The word echoed in my head, bouncing off every memory of the past 2 years. Every time I had rearranged my schedule for her, every compliment I gave that she brushed off, every fight I apologized for, even when I was not sure what I had done wrong. And now I was draining. I tried to speak, tried to ask her what she meant, what I could do differently, how we could work through this together. But she held up her hand to stop me. "Do not text me. Do not call me. I am serious, Marcus. I need space. Real space." Her voice was so calm, so rehearsed, that I realized she had been planning this. This was not an impulsive decision made in a moment of frustration. She had thought about it, prepared for it, probably practiced these exact words in her head. "Faustina," I managed to say, "just tell me what is going on. We can talk about this. Whatever I did wrong, I can fix it." She stood up, and that is when I noticed the bag by the door. A small overnight bag already packed. She had packed before I even came home. She had known exactly how this conversation would end. "There is nothing to fix," she said. "I just need to breathe. I need to feel like myself again." She walked past me without another word. I turned to watch her still sitting frozen in that armchair, unable to move. She picked up her bag, opened the front door, and stepped out into the hallway. She did not look back. Not once. The door clicked shut, and I sat there until well past midnight. The groceries spoiled on the counter. The apartment felt enormous and empty, like the walls had expanded outward the moment she left. I did not sleep that night. I scrolled through our old text messages, searching for some warning sign I might have missed. But everything looked normal, happy even. Just 3 days earlier, she had sent me a heart emoji and told me she could not wait to see me after her work trip. What had changed? The next day, I kept my promise. I did not text her. I did not call. I told myself she just needed a few days to clear her head, that she would reach out when she was ready, that this was just a rough patch every couple went through. But then I opened Instagram. Her stories were the first thing I saw. A candlelit dinner at an expensive restaurant I did not recognize. A glass of champagne held up against a backdrop of city lights. A photo of a hotel room view floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the beach. And behind every photo, behind every carefully cropped frame, I could hear laughter. A man's laughter. Deep, unfamiliar, definitely not mine. My hands were shaking as I swiped through each story. Another image appeared, 2 wine glasses on a table, a man's hand reaching across to touch hers. I recognized the location now. Galveston. The beach town she had always said she wanted to visit, but could never find the time for. She had found the time. Just not with me. I tried to convince myself there was an explanation. Maybe it was a work trip. Maybe that was her brother or a friend or anyone other than what my gut was screaming at me. But I knew. Deep down in that part of myself I had been ignoring for months, I knew exactly what I was looking at. I could not stop myself. I opened our message thread and typed out a message before I could think better of it. "Are you so miserable you had to run back to your ex?" The response came within minutes, faster than she had ever replied when we were together. "Do not embarrass yourself. I told you I needed space. Go work on your jealousy issues." I read those words over and over, feeling something shift inside me. She was not denying it. She was not explaining or apologizing or even acknowledging what I had seen. She was turning it around, making me the problem. I was jealous. I was embarrassing. I was the one who needed to work on myself. The manipulation was so smooth, so effortless, that I almost fell for it. Almost. I put my phone down and forced myself to breathe. Then I did something I should have done a long time ago. I started paying attention. Derek. She had mentioned him so many times during our relationship, always with this wistful tone, like he was some golden memory she could never quite let go of. I remembered his last name from a story she had told me once, something about a trip they took together before they broke up. It only took me a few minutes to find him on Facebook. What I found made my stomach turn. Derek was married, had been for 2 years. His wife's profile was filled with photos of their family, their young daughter, their seemingly happy life together. He had moved on. He had built something real with someone else. But apparently, that had not stopped Faustina. The pieces fell into place with sickening clarity. She was not just reconnecting with an ex, she was having an affair with a married man. She was helping him betray his wife, destroy his family, all while telling me that I was the one who was draining. The anger hit me then hot and sharp, not just at her, but at myself, for ignoring the signs, for bending myself into shapes trying to make her happy, for believing that I was the problem when she was the one who had been lying all along. I made a decision in that moment. I would not chase her. I would not beg for explanations or demand answers. I would not give her the satisfaction of watching me fall apart. She had made her choice. Now I would make mine. The next 2 weeks were some of the hardest of my life, but not for the reasons I expected. I had braced myself for the crushing weight of heartbreak for sleepless nights spent missing her, for the desperate urge to reach out and try to win her back. But that is not what happened. Instead, I felt something I had not felt in a very long time. I felt free. I threw myself into work not as an escape, but because I actually enjoyed it again. Without Faustina's constant comments about how I was too focused on my career, I could finally appreciate the projects I was working on. I started going to the gym every morning, waking up at 5:30 to lift weights before the sun came up. My body ached in ways that felt productive, healthy. I cooked meals for myself, recipes I had always wanted to try, but never did, because she said they were too complicated or took too long. I read books in the evenings, something she used to call boring. I reconnected with friends I had neglected, guys I had known since college who had quietly faded from my life because I was always too busy trying to keep Faustina happy. The more distance I put between myself and that relationship, the more I could see how much of myself I had lost in it. I had stopped doing the things I loved. I had stopped seeing the people who mattered to me. I had shrunk myself down piece by piece, trying to fit into a space that was never meant for me. I unfollowed Faustina on every platform, muted her number, removed every photo of us from my apartment. It was not about anger or revenge. It was about reclaiming my own life, my own space, my own identity. When friends asked about the breakup, I kept it simple. We broke up. I am doing fine. And the strange thing was, I meant it. Then, exactly 2 weeks after she walked out that door, my phone started buzzing. At first, I thought it was a mistake, a wrong number maybe. But then I saw her name on the screen and the calls kept coming. 5 missed calls in the first hour, then 10, then 15. The voicemails started piling up. Her voice sounded different in those messages. Softer, shakier. Nothing like the cold certainty she had shown that night on the couch. Marcus, please call me back. I made a mistake. I was confused about what I wanted, but I know now. Please, just let me explain. I listened to that first voicemail and deleted it. Then came the second. I know I hurt you. I was going through something and I handled it wrong. But we had something real, Marcus. You know we did. Please, give me a chance to make this right. Delete. Then the third, the fourth, the fifth. Each one more desperate than the last. The text messages came next. Long paragraphs explaining how stressed she had been, how she had not been thinking clearly, how she regretted everything the moment she left. She said Derek meant nothing. She said it was just a moment of weakness. She said she had been scared of how much she loved me, and she pushed me away, because she did not know how to handle it. I read every message. I did not respond to a single one. Then she started reaching out to my friends. One of my buddies texted me saying Faustina had messaged him on Instagram asking him to talk to me on her behalf. She told him she was worried about me, that she just wanted to make sure I was okay. The manipulation was impressive, really. She was trying to paint herself as the caring ex, the one who still had my best interests at heart. A week later, she showed up at the coffee shop near my apartment, the one I went to every Saturday morning. I was sitting by the window when I saw her walk through the door, her eyes scanning the room until they landed on me. "What a coincidence," she said, sliding into the seat across from me like nothing had happened. I was just in the area and thought I would grab a coffee. "How are you?" I looked at her, really looked at her for the first time since she left. She was wearing the dress I had bought her for her birthday last year. Her makeup was perfect. Her smile was warm, inviting, exactly the smile that had drawn me in 2 years ago. But I saw through it now. I saw the calculation behind her eyes, the performance in every gesture. This was not a coincidence. She had planned this just like she had planned our breakup. "I am good," I said. "Really good, actually." Her smile faltered just for a second. That was not the response she was expecting. "Marcus, listen." She started reaching for my hand across the table. "I know I messed up, but what we had was special. You know it was. Derek, that whole situation, it was a mistake. He did not mean anything to me." I pulled my hand back before she could touch it. "I heard about Derek," I said calmly. "I heard his wife found out. I heard he went back to his family." Funny how you suddenly remembered what we had right after that happened. Her face went pale. She had not expected me to know the details. "That is not," she stammered. "It is not like that. I was going to come back to you anyway." Derek and I were over before that even happened. I stood up, leaving my half-finished coffee on the table. "You told me I was draining," I said. "You told me you needed to feel free. How is that working out for you, Faustina?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Marcus, please. I love you. I know I made mistakes, but everyone deserves a second chance. We can start over. We can be better this time." I looked at her, at this woman I had loved so completely for 2 years. The woman I had changed myself for, diminished myself for, bent over backwards, trying to please. And I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness, not even satisfaction. Just a calm, clear certainty. I took out my phone, opened our message thread, and typed 2 words. Then I turned the screen toward her so she could see. "Me never." I watched her read those words. Watched the realization dawn on her face that this was really over. Then I put my phone back in my pocket, walked past her without another word, and stepped out into the morning sun. The night after I walked away from Faustina at that coffee shop, I could not sleep. But it was not because I missed her. It was because the relief was so overwhelming that my body did not know how to process it. I sat on my balcony until 3 in the morning watching the city lights flicker in the distance. For the first time in 2 years, the silence in my apartment did not feel lonely. It felt peaceful, like I was finally alone with someone I actually liked being around. Myself. The following weeks were not easy. There were moments when old habits crept back in. I would reach for my phone to text her something funny I had seen, then remember she was not part of my life anymore. I would hear a song that reminded me of our early days and feel a pang of something that might have been grief. But each time I reminded myself of the truth. I was not mourning the loss of love. I was mourning the loss of an illusion. I started seeing a therapist. Not because Faustina had broken me, but because I wanted to understand why I had stayed so long in a relationship that was slowly crushing me. We talked about attachment patterns, about the difference between genuine love and trauma bonding, about why some people are drawn to partners who make them feel like they are never quite enough. It was uncomfortable work. It forced me to look at parts of myself I had been avoiding for years. But it was also the most valuable thing I had ever done. I reconnected with old friends, the ones who had quietly stepped back during my relationship because they saw what I could not see. They welcomed me back without judgment. We started a weekly basketball game, something I had not done since college. We went on camping trips. We talked about real things, honest things, the kind of conversations I had forgotten how to have. 3 months after the breakup, I got promoted at work. It was a position I had been eyeing for years, but never pursued because I was too busy managing the chaos of my relationship. With a clear head and renewed energy, I had finally proven what I was capable of. I started working on a side project too, an app I had been dreaming about since my early 20s. Faustina had always dismissed it as a waste of time, saying I should focus on practical things instead of chasing dreams. But now, there was no one telling me what to dream. I spent my evenings coding building something that was entirely mine. 6 months later, I heard through mutual acquaintances that Faustina had moved to another city. She had a new boyfriend now, someone 15 years older with a lot of money. I found out by accident through a comment someone made at a party. I waited to feel something jealousy or vindication, or maybe just curiosity. But there was nothing. She had become a stranger, a character from a chapter of my life that was firmly closed. Looking back now, I understand something I could not see when I was in the middle of it. When someone tells you that you are draining, it does not always mean there is something wrong with you. Sometimes it means they are looking for an excuse to leave without feeling guilty. They need to make you the problem so they can walk away with a clear conscience. But their words say more about them than they ever could about you. I learned other things too. I learned that being someone's backup plan is one of the most painful positions you can find yourself in, and you should never accept it. I learned that silence can be the most powerful response, that you do not owe explanations or closure to people who do not deserve your energy. And I learned that losing someone who never truly loved you is not a loss at all. It is a liberation. If you are watching this and you have ever been called too much by someone who gave too little, I want you to hear something. You do not need to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's life. You do not need to apologize for having needs, for wanting attention, for expecting to be treated with respect. The right person will never make you feel like loving you is a burden. They will show up consistently and fully because that is what love actually looks like. And if someone walks away from you, let them go. Do not chase. Do not beg. Do not spend your nights wondering what you could have done differently. Some people leave because they were never meant to stay, and their departure, as painful as it feels in the moment, is often the greatest gift they could give you. I still sit in that same chair sometimes, the one across from where Faustina used to be. But the empty space does not haunt me anymore. I have filled it with my own presence, my own peace, my own sense of worth. And honestly, that is more than enough. If this story resonated with you, I would love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever been made to feel like you were too much for someone who was giving you too little? Drop a comment below and share your experience. Your story might help someone else feel less alone. If you found value in this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss future stories. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, share this video with them. Sometimes the right words at the right time can change everything. Thank you for being here and for listening to my story. I hope you carry this with you. You are not draining. You are not too much. You are exactly enough, and the right person will know that from the very first moment. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one.